There's perhaps no better advice than, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Maybe that's why the second generation Subaru Crosstrek looks so similar to the first, which was very popular. This is not a refresh. The Subi folks say it's 90% different, starting with the company's new scalable global platform. Oh, and the US has ditched the XV prefix. It's just Crosstrek now.
Subaru owners are famously brand loyal. I famously recommend test driving at least 3 different vehicles because they're big investments. Some you might want to check out would be Chevy Trax, Jeep Renegade, Hyundai Tucson, Nissan Rogue Sport, and Honda HR-V.
This Subi grows ever so slightly, and the interior gets a bump in quality, though clearly the stitching and carbon fiber are not real. There's always Land Rover for that, which can't touch Crosstrek's $22,700 base price. I'm driving the mid-level premium model at $23,500. Going from this 6-speed manual to the continuously variable automatic transmission would add $1,000. The heavily revised 4-cylinder is a 2-liter that makes 152 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. Subaru uses a boxer engine design where the pistons fire horizontally. That allows it to be mounted deep in the engine bay for a lower center of gravity.
A key. How quaint.
Move up to a limited model and the ignition is upgraded to keyless. The engine, however, stays the same. With acceleration similar to a Toyota Prius, a WRX, this is not. 0 to 60 miles an hour is in the 10-second range. Crosstrek makes up for it in the handling department. For starters, there's brake-assisted active torque vectoring.
Crosstrek handles the corners pretty well. That's due in part to the low-profile boxer engine that lowers the center of gravity. The suspension is set for comfort. It will swallow up big bumps pretty nicely.
Good for rugged roads. There's a generous 8.7 inches of ground clearance. Subaru's standard symmetrical all-wheel drive comes in 2 flavors here. With the manual transmission, power is divvied up 50-50 to the front and rear. More torque is sent to the axle that isn't slipping. The automatic's all-wheel drive system is more dynamic, allowing power to be routed to a single wheel that has the most traction. As for chores,
Crosstrek and Impreza hatchback share the same body style, so this test applies to both of them. It's a twofer.
a spare. That's important when trucking out on trails. Tie-downs, those keep things from shifting around. And of course, these split and fold to haul big things. Hatchbacks are good for that. Keep in mind, I always do my trunk testing with seating for 4, and generally a vehicle this size will take on 6 bundles of softness and absorbency, and sure enough, that's the score here. So, what's the difference between the 5-door Impreza and Crosstrek? Cladding, about 3.5 inches of additional ground clearance, more cladding, roof rails, even more cladding. Automatic transmission-equipped Crosstreks get an X mode button in this blank, which adds hill descent control and additional confidence on slippery surfaces at lower speeds. And I like these wheels better too.
I remember the outgoing Crosstrek as being a little bit jumpy off the line. The Subaru engineers seem to have fixed that.
It's quieter now too, all but the base version gets laminated glass to keep road noise down. Subaru claims the structural rigidity of the unibody is up by 70% with the new platform, which helps drivability. Can't hurt safety either, something the brand has been known for.
Subaru's suite of safety technology is called EyeSight, and it's available on Crosstrek. It includes things like automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist, and adaptive cruise control. However, there's always an asterisk. You must order the continuously variable transmission to get it. Subaru does a pretty good job of tuning its continuously variable transmissions, and I think that's the gearbox that I would choose in this vehicle. I prefer my manual transmissions to be a little bit more crisp and precise.
And on average, the CVT returns an additional 4 miles per gallon over the manual. That means, according to the EPA, it would pay for itself in about 4 years of regular driving.
If you like manual transmissions but worried about steep hills, Crosstrek has a hill holder clutch. It's pretty handy.
Just to let you know, the feature is on the Automatic as well. I like the chunky hatchback design of the Crosstrek, but this is what owners see the most of. It's classic, sensible Subaru. The shape of the heated seats should keep most backsides happy. At this trim level, there's no automatic climate control. There are enough nooks and cubbies to keep life's gear organized and coffee within reach. That's important. The new user interface is straightforward, as you would expect from the brand. The 6.5-inch screen is on the small side. The limited model offers a larger one. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are helpful. So is a good view rearward.
If you didn't know, I have an evil twin. Or maybe he's the evil twin. Who never tires of saying that. I am the backseat specialist. Room back here is pretty good for 2 average-sized adults.
There's an extra inch of legroom back here now, and the floor is fairly flat for an all-wheel drive car. Not a lot of amenities, though. Subaru is skimpy on the seat pockets. Friends back here have to mooch off the USB ports in the center console to charge their phones. No heated seats in the rear. No center armrest either, so drinks will definitely be going here. The biggest problem Subaru has had lately is building enough cars. And while there's a strong argument that it needs a turbo boost, the second generation Crosstrek is a perfect example of Subaru sticking to a formula that works. This is a capable car with a dollop of driving personality. It drinks modestly, dresses ruggedly, and is priced reasonably. In this case, familiarity breeds content. Earlier in the piece, I named off some competitors and I urged people to test drive a bunch of cars. Can't stress that enough. And keep in mind, you should think outside the box. Maybe you don't need all-wheel drive, so a Chevy Cruze hatchback, Honda Civic hatchback, or Kia Soul will work for you. And keep your eye out for new vehicles. For example, Hyundai has a new crossover called Kona coming out. If you're watching this outside the US, you might be confused about the name. Don't be. The Crosstrek moniker is unique to North America. Everywhere else, it's the XV, or if you're into Roman numerals, the 15.
You've stuck around to the very end. You deserve a fun fact. The Subaru logo, what does it mean? It is the constellation Pleiades. The 6 stars represent the 6 companies that came together to become Subaru. The biggest one represents Fuji Heavy Industries, which was the largest of the companies. Now, apparently there's a 7th invisible star in the constellation, and maybe it represents the small investment that Toyota has in Subaru. Or maybe I'm just overthinking it. Hard to know. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.